Hello. How are you? This is Vikan Chulika, the Ugandan apologist. I want to talk today about the so-called high salaries of the members of parliament in Uganda. If you're someone who doesn't love listening to very long testimonies or stuff, then I'm going to summarize it for you in three simple points right now. Now, this thing of MPs in Uganda having very big salaries basically can be summarized under three simple points. The first point is the MPs getting high salaries and putting it all out of media. There is nothing wrong with it per se, but all the debate going around it, basically this is just diversionary. Yeah, the short and sweet thing about the whole MP fat salaries scenario comes down to three things. One, it is a diversionary tactic. It is just diversionary politics. Secondly, it's more about political mobilization instead of service delivery. And thirdly, it's all about chilling out with the big boats or with the big boys, or what I will call, there's always somebody with a bigger boat than you. So if you prefer short stuff, this thing of MPs getting big salaries, it's number one, it's diversionary. Number two, it's more about political mobilization and not service delivery. And number three, it's basically about chilling out with the big boys. Now, let me go into the details of this. I'll promise to keep it short and simple, sweet and short. Yeah. There is a lot of debate on both sides on some are like, okay, the MPs deserve the fat salaries, but those are in the minority. The majority of Ugandans are like, no, MPs don't deserve the salaries. These fat salaries, that is being greedy, that is being selfish, they don't care about the citizens, blah, 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 blah. But here is the whole truth of this thing, a balanced perspective on the whole thing. Like I said, first and foremost, anyone who is telling you that MPs getting fat salaries, it's bad, it's being selfish, that person is just engaging in diversionary public opinion, or diversionary politics, or diversionary public engagement. And here is the reason why. There is nothing wrong with anybody getting a fat salary. Seriously, there is nothing wrong with that. What do I mean? I usually tell people that at no point in history, whether in the past or in the present or probably even in the future, at no point in human history are we going to have a socialist utopia or a socialist paradise where everybody gets equal access to the same privileges. So if you know that, if we start from that point and acknowledge that different people are going to earn differently, then you realize that there's nothing, first and foremost, wrong with getting a fat salary. Now, why do I call this diversionary? The reason I call it diversionary is because you're going to have some people telling you, oh, the president, Mr. Museveni to Haburwa, told our, because I've seen some of the engagement, and people are like, oh, our president told these MPs not to get big fat salaries. Maybe he did, but now what they're trying to do is they're trying to shift the blame of whatever is wrong with Uganda's finances on the MPs getting big salaries, which is basically diversionary. We don't have to go into a lot of that stuff. We don't have to go into the economics. We don't have to go into the world situation as it is today as far as finances and economics is concerned, but it is simply diversionary. MPs getting big salaries is not the reason Uganda has whatever financial issues it is having. Yeah. So this is just something diversionary. This is something which some people are going to leap onto. Maybe opposition, maybe people within NRM, whoever, and put all of the blame on the MPs. They have already done it. They're telling you MPs are selfish, they don't care about people, they go to parliament to fill their stomachs. So that is diversionary. That is basically diversionary, to take you away from actually thinking through what exactly is wrong with the country. Yeah, so that is it. MPs, fat salaries, anybody mentioning it, yeah, you have your rights and your freedom of speech to put it in the newspapers, to put it in media, but focusing on it, really, that is diversionary. I mean, there are always problems everywhere, but there's always small problems that you don't have to waste your time on. And there are others that you actually have to really focus on. The challenge we are having as a country, as intellectuals, as citizens, as everybody, as villagers, as peasants, is we are focusing on things, on small issues, which are really not exactly important and missing out on the big picture. So the MP salary, yeah, if you're reading it for fun, if you're debating about it just for fun as you drink your beer, eat your pork, whatever, after prayers, after Juma, whatever, that's okay. But if you really want to put it down to parliament or in public debate as something serious to debate about, that's a waste of time. It's diversionary, seriously. Secondly, this MP thing, we have to understand it from a perspective of political mobilization instead of service delivery. What do I mean? We have to acknowledge, we have to appreciate that currently the understanding in our socio-political environment, in our social environment in Uganda, the current understanding is that when somebody has influence or power, that person is supposed to look after the people with lesser influence, lesser power. It's kind of embedded in our traditional systems where we have the extended family, right? And with extended family, whoever is doing well financially or whatever kind of looks after the others. Nothing wrong with it. That is a very, very good gesture. Yeah, but we have to appreciate that we are transitioning from that traditional kind of thing of extended family. I'm not saying we should drop the extended family and go into the Western concept of nuclear family where it's only mom, dad, and the children. Everybody else can go to hell. That's not a good concept. By the way, we should stay with the extended family, but that should stay in our family relationships. When it comes to service delivery as a government, what we should expect as citizens should be something different. We should drop that mindset of, or the MP, the big man, the big woman, is supposed to be paying my school fees, is supposed to be contributing money whenever they come to February or there is a wedding on the thingy. Because what this kind of mindset means, is that MPs are seen by citizens, and remember, most of our citizens are currently not exactly well off financially. Yeah, that's something we have to acknowledge, but we are coming out of it as a country. We have to be patient with that. We have to work on it as citizens. Yeah. So what happens is that people expect MPs, we know this stuff. Yeah, people expect MPs to pay school fees for their children, contribute to all weddings on the village, contribute to all burials on the village. I mean, how much money does an MP have? How many billionaires or even multi-millionaires do we have in Uganda or anywhere in the world? Not many. So somehow, somewhere, you realize that the MPs in reality deserve this fat salary because they have so many financial expectations brought upon them by the citizens. That is coming from our traditional background of the extended family and helping out. Like I've said, there is nothing wrong with that kind of mindset, but that should stop at the family level, at the national level, at the district level, at the constituency level, at the leadership, national leadership level. We should drop that kind of mindset for one simple reason. With that kind of mindset, what is going to happen is, which we all know, if you're an MP and you're not buying an ambulance, even when that ambulance is not needed, I'll talk about ambulances in detail, whether we did them or not in on another day, but for now, so if the MP is not buying an ambulance, that MP won't be elected next time, even if that ambulance is not needed. If the MP is not paying school fees for someone or giving people money, they'll say, whatever, you know, so that becomes more, that leads to what I will call political mobilization. Actually, I've got this concept of political mobilization via service delivery from a gentleman called Jonah Ruhima Jonah. He argues that actually this thing is all about political mobilization because MP is trying to pay fees for this, pay that for that. That is more about political mobilization instead of service delivery, because you're now trying, if you're the MP and you're giving out all these things, you're trying to buy your ticket to the next election so that you get re-elected into parliament because you're giving people money. But that actually is a raw deal. The citizens might be happy that, oh, this MP gives us money, blah, blah, blah. But that is peanuts. That is peanuts. Instead, you should be focusing on actual service delivery by government. You have hospitals by government. You have agriculture bodies by government. You have so many things. We citizens should be looking at those bodies and making sure they work instead of going to the MPs. We also have a responsibility as citizens, by the way, to put in the work instead of waiting for handouts from whomever. Yeah. And basically that is that. So the second thing I'm saying about the fat salaries of MPs in the current socio-political understanding we have as a country, where the big man and the big woman, the rich one, is the one who gives the breadcrumbs to the ones who are less fortunate. That is how we are working, and that is more, like I've said, at the moment, the MPs actually deserve that money. Take it or leave it, the MPs deserve a big fat salary, because that is how our current peasant politics is working, because we are more into political mobilization instead of service delivery. But we have to break away from that kind of mindset, really. We have to break out from that kind of mindset. And finally, I talked about the third point, and I said the third point when it comes to the salaries of MPs, it's about, I've seen this thing of chilling out with the big boys. It's trending, it was trending a few weeks ago. Chill out with the big boys. There's a concept they call, there will always be somebody who's got a bigger boat than you do. You know, the rich guys, they have yachts, those big fancy boats. Now you might think you have the biggest boat in the ocean, but then as you're on your holiday moving around, you realize that, wow, there's somebody that actually has a bigger boat than you. Now, if there's someone who has a bigger boat than you, should you feel resentful or bitter because that person has a boat which is bigger than you? Because the other concept we are having in Uganda actually is that we have this stupid mindset we are getting that whoever has money, whoever is earning a lot of money, is a thief, is corrupt, is cruel, is a mafia, is an Illuminati. I don't know, that kind of mindset, which is pretty stupid. Yeah, but like we all know, there will always be someone who has a bigger boat than you. If you want to chill out with the big boys, if you want to chill out with the big girls, you have to go out and make that money. Join the people who are making that money. If you want to earn $30 million a month, UGX as a Ugandan, Kwesimba was an MP, and if you go through, you get that money per month. Simple. If you can't do that, look for ways of getting that money. Look for ways of getting that money. Don't say the people who have money or are earning fat salaries, they're thieves, they're what. But talking even about thieves, all of us in Uganda, we are thieves. Yes, I've said it, we are all thieves, we are all corrupt. At all levels. You see, one time I was traveling from wherever up country, and there's roadside vendors, and I buy tomatoes. And I let this woman put tomatoes in my car. I trusted her. And then what happens when I get home? Half of the tomatoes were rotten. Now that is corruption, that is thuggery, that is thievery. This is the so-called Muntu Wawansi, but the Muntu Wawansi is cheating me. And the reason they're cheating me, they might argue, abavuga motoka be bali corrupt, which is stupid. I've never stolen her money. Yeah, but there is that kind of stupid mindset. So she feels justified to give me rotten tomatoes when she doesn't even know me. That is the Buntua Wansi. I had a friend I opened up a washing bay with somewhere in where is this place? Kamocha, yeah. And I was busy, my friend wasn't exactly busy, so I was like, why don't you go and take time and spend time there, well, see how these guys are doing the work in the Kamocha ghettos, yeah. But the boys, they were siphoning off money. They were not giving the money they were supposed to be giving. Yeah. And we say that ghetto boys or ghetto girls, Tebalina Saint, they're poor, government is repressing them. But they're also corrupt, they're thieves as well. Yeah. So instead of working hard, instead of you've put up something, you've got a little capital, you've put up something, a washing bay, just siphoning off the money. you get, instead of maybe working, having a good work ethic, putting in the effort, do the thing, who knows what would have become of the washing bay? Maybe bigger, maybe more businesses, maybe they're also learning business skills from there. Later they're going to put up their own stuff. But yeah, that is another example. We are still on the so-called Muntu Awansi. The Muntu Awansi is a thief, the Muntu Awansi is corrupt. Then another time I worked as a consultant for some NGO, and now for me to get that contract, you guys who work with the NGOs or whatever, you know how if you to get the contract in Uganda, roughly half of the money you're going to be paid has to go back into the pockets of the financial officer or the CEO of the NGO or whatever private enterprise you're working with. Not all of them, but that is kind of like the norm. You guys know it. So if I'm contracted, say, for 50 million bucks, I'm supposed to like put back 25 million bucks into that thing. And then you wonder why we have buildings. I saw sometime, was it in Uganda? I don't remember, but a few months ago, somewhere in the east, I think it was in Busoga, they were arresting the head of police in that area and some other officials, government officials, for a school which was built, but the workmanship was poor. But if that is the kind of contract dealing we have, where if I come in, I get a contract, say the work is supposed to be for 100M, I'm supposed to give you 50M. Honestly, what do you expect me to do? For me, fortunately, I'm not saying I'm holier than you, but for me, fortunately, the kind of consulting I was doing didn't involve building. It involved knowledge work, basically, brain work, speaking, teaching. I can cut corners and still give a quality product. It's very easy for me to do that. But if you're talking about, say, building a bridge, building a school, maybe buying hospital equipment, what do you expect? You're going to get poor quality stuff, and then you're going to blame the government for doing that. But I'm telling you, even in the private sector, people are thieves. At another point, I worked as a consultant on a program which was the government of Uganda was partnering with international funders. And I got on that program, and we were supposed to be recruiting field workers. And as a field workers, we are supposed to be getting up to 1M in salary. But then whoever was in charge of finances was giving these people 700 and pocketing the 300. And then I'm like, why would you pocket the 300? Because for you, you're already earning more than 5M. You are earning 5M plus per month, which is good money. This gentleman was earning legitimate 10M plus per month on this project just as salary. I'm like, why would you remove the 300 from these kids? Why don't you let them get their full K1M and do something with that? So even in the private sector, we are thugs. This is even before you are going to get into government. So I'm saying the Montua once is a thug, is corrupt. Private sector, we are thugs, they are corrupt. And when we go to government, now I don't have to say anything about that. In all this, I'm not saying there aren't people, there aren't Bantuba ones, your private sector or government people who are actually doing the right thing. In my travels across the country, I've met a number of government officials who are actually clean, good work ethic and clean and doing the right thing. I've met people in the private sector who are ethical. I've met Mutuawansi who are ethical. They are there. But the general trend, realistically, is as Ugandans, all of us are thieves. So how does this tie in with the salaries of the MPs? What I'm trying to say is, for those of you saying MPs are selfish, MPs are thieves, MPs are what? As Jesus said, Ugandans love religion a lot. So you should be aware of this. As Jesus said, if you haven't sinned, you throw the first stone. And I'm saying that Ugandans, tuli babbi, tuli basuma, tuli gayaye, tuli bafere. So there's corruption all over. Before we throw stones at government, before we throw stones at whoever, let us check ourselves. Let us check ourselves, look at the mirror and look at who we are and change our mindset. So basically that's all I had for you today. And just to summarize, I'm saying this thing of anybody who is saying MPs are getting fat salaries and making it a big deal, it's just a waste of time. It's a whole lot of nonsense. I mean, number one, it's just a diversionary tactic. Number two, we have to move our mindset from political mobilization to true service delivery. Number three, there's nothing wrong with earning a big salary. And if you want to get big money, if you're not getting a lot of money and someone has more money than you, instead of being resentful and bitter and claiming, oh, government people are thieves, those who drive cars are thieves, these others are Illuminati, you go out and make the money. Simple. Have a good day. This is Bikanchulika, the Ugandan apologist. Till next time, take care.